You guys have been asking me to do this board for a while, and I finally got an opportunity to do it. This thing is very minimalistic, as you can see. Not really much in the control area. You have these 3 amazing joysticks over here, which I'm going to get to that in a minute. But you have just this nice LCD screen, and you have this encoder knob that pretty much handles just about all of the functions of this keyboard. You have these 3 buttons that are basically your in and out menus. On the back, however, it's a different story because you have the power button, you have the DC in and out, you have 2 MIDI out jacks and 1 MIDI in jack, but you have 2 MIDI outs because you can use this to be able to plug up multiple sound modules. So you can plug up a couple of sound modules, and you can control your computer stuff at the same time. So it sends out data via the MIDI ports and the USB port as well. So you can have multiple sound sources that you can control, external gear plus computer. So it's really, really dope. You got the USB port, and you also have 4 ports here that you can use for expression pedals, sustain pedals. You can use a patch switching pedal. There's just so many things that you can do with it. This board is made for gigging, it's made for the road, and it's also made for the studio. Now, the biggest highlight of this keyboard is this amazing keybed. It feels amazing. So this is a Fatar keybed. This is probably the best top of the line keybeds that they have on all of the top keyboards in the market. So it feels absolutely amazing. And for those who are curious, it does have aftertouch, which is a big thing for a lot of guys. So it has aftertouch. It is a fully hammer action weighted keyboard, and it feels amazing. So onto these joysticks over here. These are really, really dope. So I'm a big fan of the joystick when it comes to like your mod and pitch wheel, stuff like that. I really love the joysticks because you can just be a little bit more expressive with them than you can with your traditional pitch bend and mod wheel. I just love it. You know what I'm saying? You could just be very much more expressive. That's just me. I love the Korgs, the some of the early Roland XP80, XP series keyboards that had joysticks. It was a little bit more fun to kind of play around with than your traditional kind of, wheel kind of type thing. So they give you 3 of these things. One of them is just for pitch, and then you have one that's for mod. So you can push it up and down and get the mod action. And you also kind of got some left and right. And then you have one that you can use for like your filter, cutoff, resonance, things like that. You can use this just to control your filtering. Now, the other thing about this, the pitch bend one is more like a springy kind of jump back. It pops right back into place. The mod wheel one is springy left to right, but up and down, it's kind of straight. And then this one just is completely locked no matter which way you push. So I wanted to zoom in on the screen here so you guys could really see what goes on the screen here, because when you don't have this connected to the control software, which I'll show you in a second, this is pretty much where you're going to do all of your interaction from. This little jog wheel right here, or, encoder, it goes up, down, left, right, and it turns, so you can, kind of do things with it to navigate throughout the screen and all of the different functions of this particular board. So if I press down on this right here in this section, like if I press it in, then you'll see that I have the option to kind of scroll through my presets that I have set up for this particular board to send out different program changes and different things like that. So it's really, really cool to be able to do that. And I can choose it just by pressing it down, but I can also select groups. I can actually control each individual sound. I can mute it. So I have up to 4 layers here that I can actually control inside of this situation. And I can go inside this particular menu here and do all of the functions to control those different layers. Now, as far as software goes for this keyboard, you do get digital sensations by UVI. You can register that. And, you know, by registering your keyboard on the site, you can actually download that. But as far as everything else is concerned, software wise, all you're getting with it is the SL editor. And that allows you to basically do a ton of advanced features here that I'm going to show you inside of the actual app itself. So this is the SL editor app, and I'll be very honest. It was not straightforward at all. Even after reading the manual, reading the documentation, it was not straightforward at all when it came to figuring out how to connect this thing. But I'm going to skip all of the trouble that I had with it, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how to set it up if you use this, if you get this controller. What you're going to need to do is, trust me, go straight here, go to SL Studio Port 2, and do it on both of these, because I was having so much trouble, you know, trying to connect 1 and 2, 2 and 1. I didn't know what it was supposed to do. It wasn't clear in the manual, just to be real honest. But once you do 2 on both of these, after I figured it out, and you hit connect, it's going to verify the connection, and then boom, it's going to connect. And that lets you know you connect. Now, once you're connected to the software, you can no longer control the keyboard from this particular, you know, knob and all of that. It's going to tell you, please use the editor. You can't use any of the functions on here, the knobs. Everything stops working. The pitch band and all that stuff still works, but you can't use this knob to enter any kind of data or control anything. It just becomes useless. And then you have to do all of the control functions from the computer here. So this software is broken down into several parts. One, you get the kind of expanded view of what you see on the screen of the actual, you know, SL88. And you get all of the parameters, access to all of these parameters. So if I kind of double click here and here, it gives me all of these advanced functions that I can do for each layer that I have on the keyboard. So I can change the name. I can, you know, change it to whatever I want to change it to, sound wise and all of that stuff like that. I can create my own velocity curve just for this particular layer. I can control, this is how I would control my, you know, my zoning, you know, where to start, where to stop, my low key, my high key, you know, and all of that good stuff like that. So you have all of these functions that you can do. You can control what the pedal does on each one of these layers, so on forth. If you're into octave and transposing and doing all this, I don't know why you would need to change the octave on an 88 key keyboard, but some people need to do that for whatever reason. You can do that here. And maybe for zoning purposes, maybe you want your strings to play lower at a lower octave than your keys, your piano would play. That's one way. You can control the velocity of that layer or the volume of that layer. It's so many different things you can control with the pitch bend and the mod wheels and the cutoff and all of that stuff like that does for every layer. And you have this kind of control over every layer. You can choose to activate or deactivate these layers on here. You know, once I do that, they gray out, and I'm in complete control of what layer I want active for that thing. And this is where you create your, you know, your preset. So you can name the preset whatever you want to name that preset. If you want to, you know, set it up to where this is your, you know, piano, organ, drum, you know, whatever. I don't know, whatever scheme you set up, you can set up and save it into the memory of the SL there. And then the organize session is really cool because you can go ahead and kind of organize all of your particular presets and all that stuff like that. But what's really dope with this is this section, the SL Touch, where you can actually change your velocity curve. And you can do this even on a key by key basis. So if I press a key on the keyboard, it shows me the velocity curve and all of that stuff like that. So I can adjust my curve for individual notes. And I think that's really, really dope. There's not too many keyboards on the market that allow you to do that. I can only think of maybe one or two offhand that does that. And they're really, really expensive. But this runs in the $500 range, so it's not really that expensive in terms of what you're all of the functionality that they're giving you along with this. So the software is probably the coolest part of this. So I appreciate you guys hanging out, all that good stuff like that. Something that won't cost you anything. You know, I always say this is you can hit the like button, you can hit the share button, you can turn on notifications, you can share this video. It doesn't cost you a thing. But I'll talk to you guys on the next one. I'm out. Holla at your boy.